and tell them we are doing very well when it comes to matters dealing with climate change. And I'm sure during your stay here, you are going to learn a lot more. I have been to quite a number of countries where they come from, like the Congo, where I usually represent this house in the prayer breakfast, and want to wish all African countries a good stay here in Kenya, and we hope to interact more so that we may share more in relation to climate change. And similar to the team from Makueni, that we want you to send you home with greetings to the people of Makueni, and I hope you have learned a lot from the Honorable Kajwang, whose committee is hosting you, and the other members of Parliament on how best to check the executive in Makueni. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also take the opportunity to welcome the Makueni, our own Makueni MCAs, and to congratulate them and to continue urging them to continue doing the good job that you're doing, to ensure that you play the mandate that you've been given by the people of Makueni, so that you don't give a hard job to the Makueni senator on the money that he pushes to ensure that it comes to Makueni. You ensure that it does the work, the governor does the work that is meant to do for the benefit of the Makueni people. And then I take also opportunity to welcome the African group of negotiators, of experts, support, and African Union Development Agency, and to welcome them to Kenya and to feel at home. And Africa is our business, and wherever we are, work hard to ensure that we make Africa better than how we found it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Matthew.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to start by wishing you a happy birthday. I always don't remember mine, but mine is on a very special day. I was born on Valentine's of 1991. I want to welcome the members of County Assembly and staff from Makueni County Assembly who are here. I also want to very quickly also welcome the members of Parliament from the 12 nations that are the Speaker's gallery. And Honorable Speaker, allow me to reiterate the position that I've mentioned in the past and has been mentioned by the Chair of the caucus, Honorable Speaker, that parliaments are not are major players in the space of climate change, Honorable Speaker, because in terms of budgetary allocations, in terms of preparing our budgets, it is always a preserve of parliaments in almost all our democracies, Honorable Speaker. It is for this reason, Honorable Speaker, that we then must ensure that we learn from each other, get to do exchange program between countries, Honorable Speaker, the 12 countries that are here, the members of Parliament from Kenya, Honorable Speaker, so that we get to know what is in Malawi that we can borrow, what is in Congo that we can borrow, what is in the other countries that we can borrow. Finally, Honorable Speaker, allow me to appreciate the African group of negotiators, expert support, Agnes, Honorable Speaker, for being in the forefront of ensuring that they build the capacity of members of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, so that even as we speak about the space that we are speaking about of climate change, Honorable Speaker, our members are well equipped with the information that they require, so that going forward, it is not a question of something that comes at the tail end of the conversations. It is something that be at the meat, at the center of all the conversations that we shall be having as a people, as a country, as a continent, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader. Senate Majority Leader. Yes, sir. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, the 26th of September, 2024. These are the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following hospitals for the year ended 30th June 2023. Marsabit Level 5 Referral Hospital, County Government of Marsabit. Kalacha Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Marsabit. Msambweni County Referral Hospital, County Government of Kwale. Lungalunga Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kwale. Samburu County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kwale. Kinango Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kwale. Marafa Sub-County Referral Hospital, County Government of Kilifi. Mtuapa Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kilifi. Otoro Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Rachuonyo County Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Rangwe Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Nanyuki Teaching and Referral Hospital, County Government of Laikipia. Nyahururu County Referral Hospital, County Government of Laikipia. Nakuru County Teaching and Referral Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Soin Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Annex Hospital, Nakuru Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Gilgil Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Olenguruoni Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Molo Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Njoro Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Miriugi Karaoke Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Nakuru. Elbagon Level 4 in Nakuru as well. Mukurweni Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Nyeri. Othaya Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Nyeri. Karatina Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Nyeri. Mount Kenya Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Nyeri. Kiambu Level 5 Hospital in Kiambu County. Igegania Level 4 Hospital in Kiambu County. Ruiru Level 4 Hospital in Kiambu County. Obakamoth Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Kisumu. Chulaimbo Level 4 Hospital in County Government of Kisumu. Ojola Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in the County Government of Kisumu. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay. Thank you.
Chairman, Finance and Budget. Proceed to lay your report.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, the 26th of September 2024. Report of the joint sitting of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning and the Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the approval hearing for Mr. David Kibet Kimei, nominee for the appointment of the position of Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya. I beg to lay.
Honorable Senators, before I call the next order, I have this further communication. Honorable Senators, in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon is Ms. Esembeyu Akida, a guest of the Speaker of the Senate. Ms. Akida is a celebrated footballer and among a generation of Kenyans who have brought immense honor and pride to the Republic through her exceptional talent in sports. Honorable Senators, Ms. Akida's footballing talent was nurtured from a tender age while schooling back in Kilifi County, notably through the Moving the Goalpost initiative that has used sports to positively transform lives of young girls across our country. Kenyans recall with great fondness and national pride Akida's great display in the African Women's Cup of Nations, where she scored the first goal for Harambee Starlets, entering history books as the first Kenyan to do so. This exceptional exploit not only proclaimed her arrival in the world football scene, but also went on to open great opportunities for her in the ranks of professional football. Honorable Senators, for the past 3 years, SA has been plying her trade at Club Park in Greece, taking part in one of Europe's top women football leagues and rubbing shoulders with the world's best women footballers. She had previously played for Ramal Hasharon in Israel and Besiktas of Turkey and Club Park from Greece. Here at home, the contributions of Akida's generation of women footballers is what laid the solid foundation for the historic achievement of the prolific Under-19 Harambee Starlets team, which recently qualified for the World Cup competition for this category of women footballers to be held later next month in Dominican Republic. Ms. Akida's exploits go beyond football. Back home in Kilifi County, she has carved a niche for herself through exceptional philanthropic work and distinguished community service through the S.A. Akida Foundation that she founded and runs through her personal resources, which has played a pivotal role in giving hope to many girls, especially those from humble backgrounds. I must point out that years back, during my tenure as governor of Kilifi County, we celebrated Ms. Akida as one of the heroines for her outstanding philanthropy, which has empowered girls, sharpening their resolve to shatter the glass ceiling in their respective career paths. I congratulate Ms. Akida for taking time to document her eventful journey in life in a new book titled Chained, in which she reflects on the challenges she went through and how she triumphed. Her book provides girls growing under similar circumstances with insights and inspiration to use their talents to create and exploit opportunities that come their way in life. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to SMBU Akida, and on behalf of the Senate, on my own behalf, wish her a fruitful visit. I will allow the Senator for Kilifi and the Senate Majority Leader under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome. Yes, Senator for Kakamega.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of procedure to draw your attention to Standing Order number 29, namely visiting dignitaries. Mr. Speaker, what you have read about this young woman distinguishes her from many women in this country. Mr. Speaker, I wish it had come to my attention earlier. I would have requested that she be allowed to be treated in the same manner that we treat under this standing order on visiting dignitaries, so that she should be in the right seat, so that it serves as an example to the youth of this country, especially my daughters. Since it's just one of them. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I don't know what you will rule, but she deserves it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Bonnie. That time will come, but for today, she came to visit me. So she's here as a visitor of the Speaker.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kwanza nataka nijiunge na wewe kwa kumkaribisha huu dada ama mtoto wetu wa kutoka Kilifi, lakini yeye ni Mkenya. Ni Mkenya kwa sababu anatoka katika nchi yetu na amefanya mengi ambayo ni maajabu katika Kenya. Bwana Spika, kitu cha kwanza nataka kutoa kongole kubwa sana kwa huyu msichana anaitwa Akida kutoka sehemu ya Kilifi, kwa sababu ameweza kuvunja ngome nyingi sana ambazo ni za pingamizi katika taaluma ile ambayo yuko. Ni wakina mama wengi katika ulimwengu wanacheza mpira ama wanacheza kandanda ama ule mpira wa maguu, lakini Bwana Spika, unaweza kuona wengi watacheza lakini hawatafika kile kiwango. Na hivi ni kwamba huyu dada anaitwa Akida ni msichana ambaye amefanya bidii, amefanya juhudi, ameshughulika sana kufanya mazoezi na kuangalia taaluma mbalimbali za wale ambao wako mbele, na akajifundisha na hatimaye akaweza kufika kile kiwango cha kucheza kandanda ya kulipwa katika nyadhifa za juu nchi zetu za ng'ambo. Bwana Spika, pia vile vile nataka kumpatia kongole kwa sababu anachezea Harambee Stars. Na ni Yes. Asante. Bwana Spika, vile vile nataka kusema tu ya kwamba si rahisi kwa msichana mdogo kama huyu ambaye ameweza kujifanyia juhudi na ameweza kufika kile kiwango, lakini katika harakati zake zote hizo ameweza kupatana na mapingamizi mingi, na tunasoma katika vitabu. Ukiwa wewe ni mchezaji unaweza kuwa na pengine wale wanaokufundisha ama pengine wale ambao unawaona kama ni watu ambao wanaweza kukusaidia. Kumekuwa na changamoto nyingi katika maisha yake, lakini ameweza kuzivuka, na vile vile ameweza katika zile changamoto mingi ambazo amepitia ameweza kuandika kitabu. Kitabu kinasema ni kama alikuwa amefungwa katika ile minyororo, lakini sasa amejifungua. Kwa hiyo ni kwamba akiwa amejifungua katika ile minyororo anaweza kwenda, na tunasema yale mawingu yatakuwa ndio mwisho. Sio mwisho, anaweza kwenda akavuka mpaka yale mawingu. Tunasema unavuka yale mawingu unaingia katika ulimwengu mwingine wa kucheza kandanda. Kwa hiyo sisi tunamtakia kila laheri. Nataka kuambia dada zangu hapa ndani ya bunge na maseneta, hususan dadangu pale ambaye yeye anajihusisha sana na mambo ya kina mama. Nataka kusema kwamba nawaomba ikiwa itawezekana, kile kitabu ni muhimu sana kujua wale wasichana wetu wanaokuwa katika Kenya na zile nyadhifa wanazopitiza mbalimbali, vile mateso wanafika wanayapata, lakini wafanya juhudi mpaka mwisho mtu anafaulu. Kwa hiyo ameandika hicho kitabu, na nataka kuwauliza si dada zangu peke yake, hata hawa ndugu zangu, Cherargei akiwa kijana mdogo aweze kuwa mstari wa mbele kununua hicho kitabu. Kwa hiyo katika sisi maseneta tu hapa, vile vitabu, kile kitabu ambacho ameandika, mimi niko na copies, zile copies ziko na ni bei rahisi, mnaweza kuja kwa ofisi yangu, alafu mimi nitamwambia Cherargei awapatie kila mtu. Asanteni sana.
Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join you and the rest on behalf of all our colleagues to congratulate Ms. Essie Mbeyu Akida, who's joined us this afternoon. Though visiting you, I want to believe the visit has been extended to us as a house. In one, celebrating her achievements, especially in a sport that is greatly emerging, Mr. Speaker, over the years to be extremely competitive, but also gaining global recognition. Mr. Speaker, the women's football game has gained serious attraction to fans the last few years, that perhaps in the next few years, Mr. Speaker, if you are not careful, it will actually become more popular than the men's sports. Mr. Speaker, Senator Catherine Muma reminds me, and she needs not remind me because I know that for a fact, that as we speak today in Kenya, the women's game is way ahead of the men's sport. Our girls are doing way better. Mr. Speaker, everybody is aware that our Harambee starlets are currently in Spain doing their pre-tournament preparation on their way to the Dominican Republic to play in the FIFA World Cup, Mr. Speaker. That's a feat that no other footballing team has achieved. Therefore, we must celebrate girls like Essie, who have pushed this sport, Mr. Speaker, to the levels that she has. We celebrate her also in her distinguished career, and I hope that she can inspire many girls, Mr. Speaker, in Kilifi, the coastal part of the country, Mr. Speaker, which is not traditionally known for producing many great footballers. I know Senator Faki will not be happy for me to say that, but I know that with girls like Essie doing what they are doing, that many young girls from that part of the country will be inspired and excel and do even far beyond what we are able to. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I hope that as a country we can continue to invest more in our sporting academies. You do realize that Essie nurtured her talents, Mr. Speaker, through this program, Moving the Goalpost, and many other programs that are seasonally run. Eventually, Mr. Speaker, until we are able to set up academies that can nurture young talents and grow them into serious professionals, Mr. Speaker, we shall not enjoy many stars coming out of our country like Essie. Therefore, I celebrate her. The Senate looks forward, Mr. Speaker, to interacting with her and learning more from her. Mr. Speaker, I just want to make one final request. You know, the only other member the only other citizen actually within the precincts of Senate right now who's had the opportunity to represent Kenya at the international stage in a sporting event is none other than the Senator of Trans Nzoia. Senator Alan Chensang featured for the national team. I know this because I was in university with him at the time when he represented Kenya in the All African Games. I'm not sure whether they were with AC at that time, but given that she had performed better than Senator Faki, Senator Kajwang, who runs once in a while in the day and at night, Mr. Speaker, why don't we allow Senator Chesang to celebrate a fellow icon who has done well? That's my humble request. Welcome, AC. I celebrate you.
Senator Hamida. Senator Hamida, then Senator Alan Chesang, and then Senator Oroba, and Senator Faki. We wrap it up at that.
Asante Bwana Spika. Na mimi pia nataka kuchukua nafasi hii kama upande wa mama wa Kewosa kuweza kujivunia mrembo wetu. Karibu sana na asante kwa kututembelea. Tumepata sifa zako na sisi tunasema kongole. Kongole kwa kupeperusha bendera ya Kenya. Tunakuombea mema na utuwakilishe vilivyo. Na pia tunakusifu sana kwa wewe kuja kushika wenzako mkono na wao pia kuwasaidia wafike mahali umefika. Sio watu wengi upenda kufanya hivyo ili wenzake wasiwafikie, lakini wewe tunakushukuru sana kwa kuweza pia kurudi nyumbani ili na wao pia wapate kile wewe umeweza kupata. Na tunakwambia pia ukiwa kule jivunie kuwa Mkenya. Tuwakilishe vilivyo na tunakuomba sifa yetu na sifa yako kama Mkenya na kama msichana uiweke mbele, usihadaishwe na wengine, na wewe mafikira yako yawe, malengo yako yawe mazuri, na usikubali kuhadaishwa kwa kitu chochote. Tunakusifu na asante sana kwa kututembelea. Shukran. Asante mwenyekiti.
Senator Alan Chesang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise first and foremost to congratulate Essie Akida. Mr. Speaker, I'm a very proud senator in this house, Mr. Speaker. First, I happen to be one of the people who has been part of Essie's life, and I think her first flight to the All African Games, she was seated next to me. That was in 2007 or 2000 All African Games in Algeria. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate her because I've seen her hard work in her sporting activity all the way through. I've seen her grow. I've seen her efforts and her training in Kenya. And it's a very good example to this country, Mr. Speaker, that sport pays, Mr. Speaker. I have been following her wherever she goes, every team she's been in Kenya and overseas. Mr. Speaker, this is just an example, and she's a living proof that sports pay, and if the government puts more effort in this kind of sports, we are going to change many of our youths in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to again congratulate her for writing a book and being a person that many of our youths would look upon to. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say thank you once again to her, and also maybe also appreciate my brother Aaron Cheriot for recognizing that we were in the same university together, Mr. Speaker. The University of Moi in Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, it's a privilege because most of the members here, they will not have anyone to say they were classmates or in the same university, Mr. Speaker. So let me just say thank you once again to Essie and congratulations. Keep striving, and we are always behind you, Essie. Thank you so much.
Senator Robert.
Thank you, Speaker. Congratulations, Ms. Akida. You know, I'm just peeping to see that it's really you because I follow you a lot online. Speaker, I want to congratulate this lady because, you know, Kilifi County is known for a lot of things, but it's also known for teenage pregnancies. And I know that, you know, when they look up to someone like Ms. Akida, they understand that there's hope, there are other things that we can do, and that girls can actually break that barrier. So, Ms. Akida, as you go back home, I want to urge you to hold the hands of those many girls. You know, in Kilifi County, 28.9% is the prevalence rate for teenage pregnancies. That's 4,000 girls every year who are actually, you know, being impregnated because for whatever reason, you know, we have sex for pads, we have what, but also there is this hopelessness that they can't be anything in life. So congratulations, and please hold the hands of many girls out there so that they can look up to you and you can change your community from that perspective. Thank you.
Senator Faki.
Mheshimiwa Spika, pia kunipa fursa hii kujiunga nawe kumpa kongole dada yetu Essie kwa kazi nzuri anayofanya. Mheshimiwa Spika, Essie ni mmoja ya wale wana michezo wetu ambao wameweza kubobea na wanacheza katika ligi za kimataifa. Mwingine akiwa ni Mwanahalima Adam Jereko ambaye anacheza Amerika hivi sasa. Mwanahalima ni msichana ambaye alilelewa pale Likoni mjini Mombasa. Kwa hivyo Aaron Cheriot, usifikiri kwamba haya mambo yanatokea Kilifi peke yake. Mombasa pia tunatengeneza mambo kama hayo. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimepata fursa kutembea mpaka ya Bamba kule katika kile kiwanja cha moving the goalpost. Na nafikiri ni mradi mzuri ambao kaunti zetu zote zinaweza kuiga. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna mswada hivi sasa wa Seneta Sefuna kuhusiana na kutengwa kwa asilimia fulani ya bajeti za kaunti kupromote kusaidia mambo ya michezo. Hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika ni njia ambayo itasaidia pakubwa kuweza kutoa wanatalanta wengi kama Essie ambao hawajapata fursa kama hizi ili waweze kusonga mbele katika talenti zao za michezo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kumalizia ni kwamba ni masikitiko hivi sasa Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba wakati wasichana wetu wanabobea katika mambo ya michezo, wanakwenda katika nchi za kimataifa kucheza ligi kubwa. Hivi hapa Kenya hivi sasa Mheshimiwa Spika hatuna kiwanja ambacho chaweza kuhost ama chaweza kuandaa mechi inayokubaliwa na FIFA. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni aibu kubwa. Sisi tunakwenda kucheza mechi zetu Uganda. Kama timu ya nyumbani tunacheza Uganda sisi Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa vile hatuna kiwanja cha kimataifa cha kuweza kusimamia ama kuandaa mechi za FIFA. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, ni changamoto ambayo imetolewa na dada yetu Essie kwa hapa leo, na kwa hivyo sisi kama maseneta lazima tuangalie ni njia gani ambazo zitasaidia kukuza michezo nchini kwetu. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Lastly, Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand here as somebody, first of all, who wants to give my accolades to you as the Speaker for having thought it wise that you would invite Her Excellency, the young lady who has actually made our country proud. Members in this Senate, I know we are all saying how wonderful she is. How I wish that we would be changing the rules on how we reward medals from this House and nationally for Kenyans who have excelled and have done well exceptionally. Mr. Speaker, I would hope that once you have gone back to Kilifi, of course, you know her personally now, you will actually enable her to continue and most probably ask many of us to participate in a league with my friend Stuart Mazayo. We would actually, I wouldn't mind sending our young ladies from Kisii County, because there are football teams there, so that they can be going to Kilifi, they play, and then we can invite the other players from Kilifi or Kisii to attend. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that as Kenyan leaders, we have not treated our sportsmen, sportswomen, our musicians, our people who perform in theater, and people who perform in all the other sectors. I think we need to improve on that. I think we are all seized and we understand the importance, for the reason that right now everybody is a content creator. And what is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, is that every time our successful athletes go out to the world to perform, we never give them any accolade, we never congratulate, leave alone even rewarding them in a small way. I think this House should seize itself and make sure that we start making sure that we congratulate our African athletes, Kenyan athletes, and those ones who come from several areas. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the team from Makueni that has come here for benchmarking, and the team from the African Witnesses who are here. I think it's a great honor to see both sides coming and watching what we do in this House. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity.
Senator Beth Zengo, final item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate AC. And Mr. Speaker, I also congratulate you because she comes from your county. And my minority leader, Senator Mazayo, has nurtured and mentored the girl, and I really recognize this. Mr. Speaker, as the women president of ODM Women League, and by extension, broad-based, I want to speak on behalf of all the women and say that we need girls who are gifted and who are talented like her. And I would advise that let the parents give girls to participate in games, in education, in everything that a boy child does, a girl child can do better. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ask that the book that she has written, that it gets out and gets to the hands of our young girls and even mature women, that we may read, we may be motivated, we may be encouraged, and also borrow a leaf from her. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Finance and Budget.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that the Senate adopts the report of the joint sitting of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning and the Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the approval hearing of Mr. David Kibet Kemei, nominee for the appointment for the position of Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
The Honorable Kajon.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern regarding the pivotal role of parliaments in implementing both international and national climate change commitments in Africa. Mr. Speaker, between the 1st and 5th of September 2024, the National Assembly of Cote d'Ivoire, in partnership with the African Group of Negotiators for Expert Support, AGNES, and the African Union Development Agency, hosted a high-level meeting of parliamentarians in Abidjan. This meeting, held on the sidelines of the 12th Conference on Climate Change and Development in Africa and the 10th Special Session of the African Ministerial Conference on the Environment, brought together parliamentarians from across the continent, all of whom are members of the committees, commissions, and caucuses on environment, climate change, agriculture, and natural resources. The meeting, under the theme of strengthening the role of parliaments in the implementation of national and international commitments on climate change in Africa, aimed to build the capacity of parliamentarians to better understand their roles in addressing the escalating climate crisis. As part of the outcomes, a 12-member bureau was elected to guide the work of this network of parliamentarians. The meeting of the bureau is currently ongoing in Nairobi to organize their affairs and develop a comprehensive roadmap for their work. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for acknowledging the 12-member bureau that is in the Speaker's gallery. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is crucial to underscore the role of parliaments in the global and national climate governance frameworks. As elected representatives of the people, members of parliament are uniquely positioned to ensure that international climate commitments, such as those outlined in the Paris Agreement and Africa's nationally determined contributions, are translated into effective policies, actions, and laws at the national level. Our role as legislators is not simply to pass legislation, but to actively oversee its implementation and to ensure that climate action is integrated into all areas of governance, from agriculture and energy to health and infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, the meeting in Abidjan highlighted the need for parliamentary oversight as a cornerstone of effective climate governance. MPs have a responsibility to hold their governments accountable for meeting climate targets, tracking progress on NDCs, and ensuring that the necessary financial and technical resources are made available to support climate action. This requires us to be proactive in monitoring the policies to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change and ensure that they're effective, equitable, and that they benefit the most vulnerable in our societies. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, Parliament must lead in the legislative process by enacting strong climate laws that establish clear frameworks for action, allocate appropriate budgets for climate initiatives, and set accountability mechanisms for implementation. During the discussions in Abidjan, it became evident that many African countries still lack comprehensive climate legislation. It is therefore incumbent upon us as parliamentarians to work collaboratively with our executive branches and other stakeholders to develop and pass the necessary legal frameworks that align with our international commitments and ensure national climate resilience. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note and to report that Kenya in 2016 was the pioneering African country when we came up with the Climate Change Act, and only last year in September, this House was involved in amendments to the Climate Change Act to provide a framework for carbon markets and carbon trading, and that puts Kenya ahead of the rest of the countries in Africa. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Abidjan Declaration also emphasized the importance of carbon trading and climate finance as critical tools in Africa's climate response. African nations, many of which are rich in natural resources, must participate equitably in the global carbon market. As MPs, we must advocate for the development of harmonized carbon trading models that ensure fairness and justice in pricing, allowing our countries to benefit from carbon credits while simultaneously supporting global efforts to reduce emissions. We must also push for increased climate finance, including accessing grants and funds from mechanisms such as the Green Climate Fund to support adaptation and mitigation projects in Africa. A significant focus of the Abidjan meeting was on capacity building. For parliaments to perform their roles effectively, we need to be equipped with the knowledge, tools, and expertise necessary to understand the complexity of climate science and policy. And this is why partnership with institutions like the Africa Union Development Agency, NEPAD, and AGNES are invaluable. They can provide the technical support needed to strengthen the capacity of parliamentarians and technical staff to oversee climate action, track progress, and ensure accountability. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage your office and the office of the clerk that perhaps Parliament needs to have a trained negotiator on climate matters, because Parliament is very much involved in climate legislation, and it is high time we partnered with Agnes to build the capacity of our clerks on climate negotiation. Mr. Speaker, the declaration in Abidjan emphasized the role of multi-stakeholder engagement. Climate action requires the involvement of all sectors of society, including the scientific community, civil society, private sector, and most importantly, local communities. MPs must serve as a bridge between the people and the government, ensuring that climate policies reflect the needs and aspirations of the people, particularly those in vulnerable communities who are most affected by climate change. Mr. Speaker, here in Nairobi, scientists, negotiators, researchers, and civil society are gathered under the banner of Agnes to develop a position pre-COP29. And Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, we were also very pleased to see our president lead the African heads of state in New York in his capacity as a chair of the relevant committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we look ahead to COP29 in Azerbaijan, Baku, and other upcoming international negotiations, the Abidjan Declaration provides a clear message that Africa must be bold and assertive in advocating for its climate priorities. One of the key messages to the Africa Ministerial Conference on Environment for COP29 is a call for an ambitious new goal on climate finance, with at least $1.5 trillion in annual public finance for adaptation and mitigation. This is essential if African countries are to build climate resilience and address the growing impacts of climate change on food security, health, and livelihoods. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, parliaments are at the heart of climate action in Africa. The Abidjan Declaration is a clarion call for us to take up our roles with the seriousness that they deserve. As Kenyan MPs, we must work together to ensure that our laws, policies, and budgets are aligned with our climate commitments and that we are playing an active role in the global effort to combat climate change. The future of our continent and our planet depends on the actions we take today. Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, allow me to thank the chair of the substantive committee that deals with climate change, Senator Maythew. Allow me to also thank the members of the caucus that I lead, which works very closely with the specific departmental committee, for their support. And Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I would table the Abidjan Declaration, which was a declaration that was signed by 30 members of parliament drawn from all the 3 regions of Africa. The only region that was not represented was North Africa, Mr. Speaker, and we do hope that as we go along, we will carry our brothers from North Africa to build one strong network of parliamentarians on climate change. Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I beg to table the Abidjan Declaration for your further direction and action by the relevant committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You may proceed to table. Next order. Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1, the Honorable Senator Tabitha Keroch.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the status of compensations for the victims of the Mai Mahiu floods tragedy. In the statement, the committee should explain to the Senate why there is discrimination in the compensation for victims of the Mai Mahiu floods tragedy and investigate allegations that the victims are being divided along the lines of those who had rented houses and those who owned houses, yet all of them were affected by the same magnitude of tragedy, where all of them lost their loved ones, property, and businesses. Explain reasons for the explain reasons for the inordinate delay in the replacement of personal documents such as the birth certificates, academic documents, identification documents, and KRA pins belonging to the flood victims, which were recorded by Huduma Center officials who had set a temporary office on site and stayed for timelines within which the said documents will be availed to ensure they are not denied access to government and banking services as well as jobs opportunities as it is today. Explain why the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government through the state government for special departments, special programs has failed to keep the promise to the fully Explain why the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government through the State Department for Special Programs has failed to keep the promise to fully compensate and resettle the flood victims, especially after the 3 months rent paid by government elapsed. State when the team of experts promised by the government will visit the site to evaluate whether the areas is now risk-free and safe for human habitation, and make recommendations for alternative land for the settlement of the victims. Explain why the Nakuru County government has done nothing to help the Mai Mahiu flood victims, despite having a huge budget of 902 million in the financial year 2023-2024 allocated to county executive member in charge of public service management, coordination and training, a docket responsible for handling disasters in Nakuru County. And explain why the county government has the audacity to spend 446.24 million on extravagance and foreign trips, while the Mai Mahiu victims, who are only 130 members, requires, according to Her Excellency's estimate, 1.2 per household, and these members are only 130. That equals to 234 million. Provide a report on the donations contributed by well-wishers across Kenya that was corrected by the Nakuru County government officials, the Nakuru County Commissioner's Officer, and area MP's office on behalf of the Mai Mahiu flood victims. Signed by Senator Tabitha Kiroche, Nakuru Senator. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Bone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a medical to seek a statement, not medical, to seek a statement. I'm sorry. That is how doctors are wired. Mr. Speaker, to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the medical negligence at Vihiga County Referral Hospital. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, I would like the committee should outline the medical safety procedures implemented before, during, and after surgical procedures at this hospital. 2, clarify the circumstances that led to a surgical seizure being left in the abdomen of Mrs. Definitely Hueji Salago during her abdominal surgery at Vihiga County Referral Hospital. 3, disclose the names of the members of the medical team led by the surgeon that performed the fetal surgery on Mrs. Defena Ihuechi Salako, disclosing any disciplinary actions taken against them for the gross medical negligence. 4, provide information regarding the psychological and financial support and possibly compensation offered to the family of the late following the incidents. 5, state measures put in place by the Vihiga County Referral Hospital to prevent the recurrence of such a regrettable incidences. And Mr. Speaker, as I end, I want to offer my condolences to the late and an apology on behalf of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board, because this is not our standard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Catherine Momo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to request a statement from the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights regarding the urgent and concerning issue of the criminalization and re-victimization of survivors of female genital mutilation, including minors. Mr. Speaker, the statement of the committee should, 1, appraise the Senate on the veracity of allegations regarding the criminalization and re-victimization of victims of female genital mutilation in Bomet and Narok counties, among others. In so doing, the committee should confirm to the Senate, 1, the number of victims, survivors of female genital mutilation, including minors, that have been prosecuted for the alleged offenses of procuring FGM, aiding and abetting FGM, and failure to report FGM under the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act. B, how many of the accused victims and survivors of female genital mutilation have been subjected to the inhumane and degrading treatment of forced genital examination to procure prosecution evidence against them. C, the number of victims or survivors of female genital mutilation, including minors, that have been convicted so far of the offenses indicated in this statement, and whether they had access to legal representation during their trials. D, the number of victims, survivors of female genital mutilation convicted and sentenced under this law and the nature of sentences meted against them. Number 2, could the committee invite the cabinet secretaries for the ministries of Interior, National Administration, and Government Coordination, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, the Attorney General, the Inspector General, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the National Gender and Equality Commission, and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, including the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, to discuss a proactive policy response to this concerning issue. Finally, could the committee organize a meeting with the Chief Justice of Kenya, the National Council for Administration of Justice, and other justice sector stakeholders to come up with the most appropriate policy in response to this concerning issue? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on the imminent eviction of civil servants from the Hobley Road estate near Mombasa Municipal Stadium in Mombasa County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the civil servants are due to be evicted from 1st of October 2024, ostensibly to pave way for the construction of a new housing estate in the affordable housing plan. And since we are alive to what happened to Buxton, where to date the former tenants have not been resettled despite a resolution of this House, I will not wish to see them suffer similar fate. Besides national examinations that are due to start in October 2024, and the impending evictions and relocations could interfere with the performance of the students who are currently preparing for their final exams. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should confirm, number one, whether the civil servants facing eviction from the Hobley Road estate have been provided with alternative accommodation to where they can relocate. Number two, state if they will be considered for payment of disturbance allowance to facilitate their relocation from their present residence to their new residences. And number three, disclose the person or company that was awarded the tender for the construction of the said houses, and whether the current tenants will be given first priority to occupy the units once the construction is completed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Wakoli. Those two statements are dropped. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations concerning the implementation of the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks project across the counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, the national government, through the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industries, in partnership with the county governments, private sector partners, development partners, and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, entered into partnership to establish a county aggregation and industrial park in each county, aimed at boosting the manufacturing sector's contribution to GDP from the current 7% to 15% by 2027 and 20% by 2030. The project will be implemented in 3 phases covering all counties and is financed equally by the national and county governments, each contributing Kenya shillings 250 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also noted that the Senate approved the County Government Additional Allocation Act for the financial years 2023-2024 and 2024-2025, designating funds specifically in this project. In the statement, the committee should, 1, table a report on the current progress of construction of these industrial parks in all the 47 counties, specifying the timelines for completion and operationalization of the parks. 2, state the amount of funds that have so far been disbursed by the national government for each county government for construction of these parks, vis-a-vis total funds allocated to each county, and give details of any other source of funding for the project, giving a detailed breakdown per county of the money spent towards the implementation of the project. 3, clarify the basis for the partnership between the national and county governments in the implementation of this project, including any agreements between the 2 levels of government as per Article 187 of the Constitution. 4, state whether all the counties have acquired land of equal acreage for the project, and state the measures to ensure the land is protected from any potential risk of public land grabbing. 5, furnish the Senate with the relevant project documentation such as feasibility studies, procurement plans, bills of quantities, tender documents, and state measures for ensuring maximum accountability and timely auditing of financial records of the project by the Office of the Auditor General. And 6, and last, outline the challenges hindering project implementation, noting that no county has implemented and detail the measures the government has put in place to expedite its realization of 7 counties. Signed.
I raise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries regarding the reduction of tea bonuses in the regions I've mentioned across the country. Madam Speaker, in the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the criteria used to determine tea bonuses, amounts per kilogram to be paid to farmers by tea factories in Kenya, outlining any measures put in place to ensure transparency in the process and fairness to all other regions across Kenya. Madam Speaker, number 2, provide a schedule indicating tea bonuses, amounts per kilogram paid to farmers by tea factories in Kenya, explaining disparities in the amounts paid by the different factories across the country. Madam Speaker, number 3, explain why tea bonuses, amounts per kilogram in certain regions have reduced significantly from approximately 60 shillings last year as low as 19 shillings to 25 in Nandi County and the regions I've said, and in other regions it's high up to 60 shillings in other regions. Madam Speaker, number 4, state why the Tea Board of Kenya, TBK, and the Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTDA, have failed to prescribe a minimum tea bonus amount per kilogram to protect tea farmers from exploitation across the country. Madam Speaker, and finally, clarify whether the government of Kenya is adequately prepared to supply the subsidized fertilizer ahead of the impending short rains between September, October, and November to support tea farmers and other farmers who have already been impacted by low tea bonuses from across the region of Nandi, Kericho, Bomet, Nyamira, Kisii, Trans Nzoia, and Bungoma, among others. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
Speaker, this is my request for a statement on the provision of conducive lactating rooms for breastfeeding mothers. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the provision of conducive and easily accessible lactating rooms for breastfeeding mothers in workplaces in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should state whether offices in the public service and other workplaces have allocated conducive lactating rooms in proximity to work stations to enable breastfeeding mothers to attend to their duties, and 2, outline any actions the Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development has put in place to ensure that all breastfeeding mothers are provided with a conducive work environment as provided for in Section 71, 1 and 2 of the Health Act 2017. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Since the year 2008, when retired President His Excellency the late Mwai Kibaki-led government approved the creation of Konza Technology City as a flagship project under Kenya Vision 2030, the country has been rushing against time to position itself as a desirable destination for investors in technology-based business, as a long-term strategy to tap into the emergent opportunities on the global digital economy.
Take the nearest seat.
And in the quest to create a comprehensive legal framework to support government efforts